Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you both for allowing us to be able to move on to questions as well. I want to pick up where Senator Tester left off here on the silo issue. You've been in law enforcement for a long time, Mr. Glawe. You know full well that there are clear lines between jurisdictions and responsibilities, and there are times there are 8 people all show up and they have 8 different jobs there, and you're all standing around waiting for your turn to be on your task. That is especially true when we deal with intelligence operations. Most of our intelligence operations are foreign-facing, trying to be able to figure out what's happening, what's coming at us. You have a very unique responsibility about trying to see what our threats are coming at us at our closest areas. But there's also overlap. You mentioned in your written testimony that you intend to focus on analytical capabilities on areas where we are positioned to add value or that are underserved by other parts of the intelligence community rather than duplicating work done elsewhere. Help us understand that portion of that. Where do you think you can add value first, and where do you think there might be duplication that we can help with? We want to help with both of those.
Senator, thank you for the question. Thank you for meeting with me regarding the nomination. The DHS enterprise is very uniquely posed, I think, in the law enforcement and intelligence community space, in the Marine, the trade, the travel, and the border security environment, and also with the private sector and sharing information with state and locals. No one else, I would argue, has that type of infrastructure to collect intelligence, to identify threats from that arena. So that's where I see and in conversations with numerous staff and committee members, that's a unique posture of DHS where we could enhance value. Where the duplication of effort, I think there is some room for improvement in the terrorism arena. There is a lot of organizations that report on international terrorism and the effects on the Homeland, including the FBI and the DHS relationship. If confirmed, I look forward to working with my law enforcement intelligence community partners to streamline our business processes, to make sure there's not duplication. And where there is, maybe we will partner and move our resources in a little bit other areas where there's not as much coverage. So I look forward to looking at the enterprise approach to that, if confirmed.
I would say we would be very eager to be able to help you with that as well. We have a lot of threats. We need to be able to focus our dollars on the areas where we need to be able to deal with those threats. If we're duplicating dollars, that means we're not looking at something else. And we're missing out. So while I understand all the jurisdictional issues and that's their deal and we can't talk about their deal, we do need some help and some ongoing conversation to be able to determine. We do have some overlap here, and so we can deal with that overlap in the days ahead on it. You also focused on your testimony on transnational criminal organizations. Obviously, there are multiple entities that are dealing with that part of it as well. State Department, DEA, all kinds of different groups, FBI, obviously. Where do you see your unique section dealing with transnational criminal organizations?
Senator, thank you for that question. And I'm very passionate about transnational organized crime, as well as the Secretary has spoken about it. The threats that are on the Homeland from transnational criminal organizations, by its nature, starts in a foreign space. The overwhelming amount of narcotics flowing into the United States from Mexico and synthetic narcotics from China are devastating us. The deaths are compiling. I view the DHS enterprise as the last line of defense at the borders, repelling these threats that are coming inbound, but also to push the borders 1,500 miles out, as Secretary Kelly has mentioned. How do we create an intelligence and law enforcement enterprise in partnership with foreign countries, with the embassies, on identifying those threats and empowering our foreign partners, empowering our law enforcement partners, empowering intelligence organizations to mitigate those threats? Because it's quite apparent that they are infiltrating with the narcotics coming into the United States. That's one vector of transnational criminal organization. Others are cyber as well, the dark web. Again, Senator, if confirmed, it would be a great opportunity to work with the committee on those threats, have a longer discussion on if we're postured correctly and maybe some potential readjustments that could help us wage our consolidated war on transnational organized crime together.
I'd welcome that conversation. Senator Harris and I both serve on the Intelligence Committee as well as serving here in the Department of Homeland Security, and so this is essential for us as we're working through this. But we'll see each other often, but we also want to be able to make sure we have right-facing, right agencies, right entities on it. Vice Admiral Pekoske, you have a tough job. You have a lot of folks that are scattered all over the nation. They deal with angry travelers every day. They deal with folks that are sick of standing in line, and your Hamilton quote, I think, is an excellent one to be able to put out there and say they're all free people and they want to be treated with respect on it. I would tell you, as you're traveling after confirmation, I fully expect to be able to affirm both of your confirmations in this. But post-confirmation, we would welcome you to Oklahoma. There's a great team of folks there that work for TSA that treat people with respect, that their head is up, that they're actually engaging with people in a friendly way, very respectful, and have done it exceptionally professional. So we'd welcome you to be able to come to Oklahoma and be able to meet the folks there. I would love to say I see that in every airport. I don't. In the airports that I have the opportunity to be able to travel in, I will occasionally see folks that are in TSA, just the whole organization, head down, not interacting with people, everything's running slow, very different attitude. And so as you're dealing with that from place to place, you have some unique responsibilities. I'm sure you have seen some of the red team testing as well, of people that are working with TSA to be able to help evaluate where we have weaknesses. That is something as our committee will track, we will continue to track and to be able to help with. Some of that boils down to not only training of people, but acquisition. So my specific question for you is, how do we deal with the acquisition issues at TSA? Because we have at times done multi-billion-dollar acquisitions that 2 years later decided that was a bad idea, and you're coming back to the committee to restart again. What can we do to be able to make sure the acquisition process works well while you're also working on the people and the morale issue?
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for your comments on the TSA workforce and for your invitation to travel to Oklahoma. I would really appreciate doing that, and we'll place that as a priority if confirmed. With respect to acquisition, that is one of my highest priorities, and I think it's also Deputy Secretary Duke's highest priority, and hopefully soon to be Undersecretary for Management Claire Grady's highest priority. The three of us have worked together before, and from my perspective, I would really like to see greater technology insertion in what we do in TSA and getting that technology insertion to the workforce faster. And I think that, too, for the workforce will help them do their jobs from a morale perspective, being able to use something that really is much more useful than perhaps what they're using today, and seeing the agency be responsive to what they, I'm sure, have articulated as a need and putting it out in the field and getting it in place. TSA has an innovation task force, which I've been briefed on. I have a lot of experience on innovation. I led the innovation effort for the Coast Guard when I was the Vice Commandant, and so that will be a key priority of mine to do just what you suggest.
Yes, speed is exceptionally important. When we've determined what a threat is, we can't wait 4 years before we actually distribute that out to the locations.
Yes, sir.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Harris.